There are 4 deals about to expire over at AppSumo, and in this video, I'm going to show you each one, give you my thoughts, and help you decide whether they're right for your business. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Dave Swift from ThatLTD.life, where I review software tools with lifetime offers. In this video, we're going to be looking at the 4 deals that are about to expire. I'm talking about Endorsal, which we've actually already covered, TexAu, Breezy, as well as Tribe. All right, let's get right into it because we have lots to talk about. This is the plans and pricing at AppSumo for TexAu. Now, if you're not familiar with this product, it is a scraping platform. And if you don't know what scraping is, it's the ability to use a computer to go to another website and pull in information off of that website. It could be things like email addresses or names or social media profiles, things like that. Now, before we actually get into the tool, I just want to explain something that this isn't magic. If you can't see the information on the website, it can't get it for you. So as an example, if you wanted to get the email addresses of every one of Kim Kardashian's Instagram followers, this can't do it for you, right? It's not a magic tool. What it could do is look up the names of the other followers so that maybe you could follow them back or something like that. So just as long as we're on the same page, I know there's been a lot of kind of uproar about this because, well, quite frankly, you could use it for nefarious purposes. You could use it to spam or contact people that aren't necessarily looking to be contacted by you. But there are also some valid reasons you might want to do some scraping. So I'm going to leave that debate for the comments. Whether you feel strongly or not about scraping, definitely leave your opinion down below. All right, so let's get into the plans here. Let me explain the way this works. So you're going to get 20 minutes of use per day for each code that you purchase. So you can stack this as many times as you want. And in fact, you can also use parallel executions. So really, you could buy a whole heck of a lot of codes here and be able to use the tool, 24/7, maybe running 2, 4, or even 6 executions at once, depending on how many codes you purchase. That would be probably a record-breaking AppSumo purchase. All right, so the idea is 20 minutes per code, 2 executions per code. And then you'll also get what they call an email enrichment, where essentially you put in someone's email address or even just their name, and it will try to find the email address as well as everything else about them that they can. So things like social media profiles, websites, you get my drift. Now, you're also going to get unlimited automations, which they call spices. Now, I don't really know about that naming convention, but it's called a spice in this application. We'll look at that in a second. We'll get integration with Google Sheets as well as CSV. They have a little CRM where basically all of the results from your scraping get fed into. And then if you stack up to 2 codes, you're going to unlock some new features. That is Slack integration, Zapier integration, some roadmap stuff here. They say upcoming premium integrations, as well as what they call recipes. Now, more with the cooking analogies. Basically, a recipe is when you connect several spices together, or several automations can be performed in series. I think that makes more sense to everybody. All right, let's get into the tool. Let's look at what we're looking at here. Now, actually, before I show you, I wanted to just go through their sales page here on their homepage because it gives maybe a little bit more of a practical example of why you might want to use this program. So here is one to generate leads on LinkedIn. So the idea would be if you're a member of a Facebook group, you'll be able to see the names of other members of the group, whether, it's not necessarily everyone, but people who've interacted with the group, their names will be visible, right? So you could use TexAu to go out there and grab those names, and then you could look up those names on LinkedIn. So find their profiles on LinkedIn. So you'd be looking for their URL, visit their profile, and then send them a connection request so that basically you're becoming friends with people who have similar interests that you do. Whether or not you think that is ethical, I mean, I guess, that's for the comments again. I don't really want to fight about it on this video, but that's one use case that they give for using a program that scrapes, basically. So here we are inside of the interface. Over here with this cog icon, we can see all of the different spices that they have. Now they actually have quite a few. You can scroll through here and see some of the different tasks that you can ask them to perform. Say adding friends on Facebook or finding email addresses, taking screenshots from sites, extracting emails from a site. So basically, like I said before, it's not magic. It's just going to look at a web page, and if there's an email address on it, it'll capture it for you. So, to be real clear here, it's not going to pull in something that is not visible to the naked eye when you're looking at the screen. So as you scroll down here, you can see there's really a lot of different tasks that you can do. Most of them are going to involve some type of social network like, LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, something like that. Okay, so here's a Craigslist one that's kind of interesting. All right, so those are the spices. The way they would work is, let's say I wanted to add a Facebook friend. I would click on the spice, and then I need to get a Facebook user cookie. Now they have this little extension that you can install, and that will allow you to use the application. That will allow TexAu to use the application as you. And then there's also the issue of proxies. I just want to go over this real quickly. If you're doing any sort of scraping in large volume, well, the platforms don't really care for that much, so they might ban your account. Now, to get around that, you might need to turn on proxies. Now, this would be not necessary if you're only stacking 1 or 2 codes, but if you do any more than that and you're, let's say really reaching the upper limits of what the platform allows in terms of something like friend requests or connection requests on LinkedIn, well, then you definitely would want to have proxies turned on. And what that is it will kind of randomize your IP address so it won't look like the requests are coming from the same computer repeatedly. So let's say I was visiting, a few hundred different profiles on LinkedIn. Well, they might say, wow, the service itself could look at me and say, wow, it looks like they're trying to scrape information. We don't want people to steal our users' data. Let's cut this person off, and they might terminate my account at that point. So using proxies, it'll look like just different people from all over the world visiting different profiles on LinkedIn. Now, proxies are an additional fee, and actually they have a doc here on how to set up proxies, and they actually partner with a couple different companies. Let's see, I might not be on the right one. I think one is called Luminati and the other is called Proxy Mesh. Now, these will be monthly fees that you'll have to pay on top of your LTD purchase. So you can see here that the user interface is pretty clean. If you've ever used something like Scrapebox, it's a disaster of a UI and it's extremely complex to understand what's going on. So having a nice graphical user interface makes scraping a little bit more like a normal type of thing to do. Like, oh, I'll just have a morning coffee and do a little email scraping. It's bringing scraping to the mainstream. Now, that said, I don't know that scraping is really for everyone, because once you get that information, you have to have a way to use it that isn't spammy and is actually providing value to the person that you're trying to connect with. So really think about that before you invest heavily in a platform like this. Now, the recipes is the next platform down, and that's essentially going to connect one automation to another. I'll point out that, they say spices up here, but then over here they say automations. It's like even they're a little embarrassed to continue to use the naming conventions. I would appreciate if they just called it, automations and workflows. I think that was a little bit more of a professional approach, but that's really nitpicking, I guess. Then we can see our results over here. And then you also, any information that's extracted goes into this, what they call a mini CRM. And then down here, we can just write support, ask them to build in a new automation or a new scraping tactic for us. And then finally, you can see their roadmap, because what would any good LTD be without a roadmap? So in summary, you should definitely pass TexAu if you have a moral opposition to this, or if, quite frankly, you don't have any reason to, do any sort of cold outreach or growth hacking. I think there's a lot of us out here that don't really want to do growth hacking. We don't have any interest in doing that. But if you're curious, maybe get 2 codes so that you can unlock the workflows and try it out for 60 days and see what all of the, scraping buzz is about. You can maybe develop your opinion whether this is a good or bad thing that way. And maybe you're already an expert scraper, in which case this actually seems like a pretty good tool to utilize. The economics of using it over versus renting your own VPS and installing something like Scrapebox, it's a little bit of a coin flip once you add in the cost of the proxies, which you'll really need in any platform that you're using. So if you're a pro, you're not going to listen to me for your advice on whether or not you should invest in TexAu. You've probably already made that decision. But for everybody else out there, I'd say either let it go or maybe you just get a couple codes and see what it's all about. All right, moving on to the next deal. This is Tribe. Been a lot of buzz on the internet about Tribe. This is essentially an online community or a way you can create your own social media platform for your audience. Now, this is a deal without any stacking. It's just a single code for $69. You're going to get Some pretty good features here, honestly. They didn't hold a lot back. You get fully white labeled, your own custom domain. These are all things we look for, right? Unlimited users, unlimited page views. The only restriction is you get 5 moderators. So if you're going to have a huge community, you'll probably need to pay to add some more moderators. You can do things like change the look and feel of the theme by changing some colors or adding some custom CSS. And you know what? Enough talk. Let's just go into the back end. I'll show you what it looks like here. So I haven't done much with my profile, but I have gone through all the settings. I understand how the platform works. All right, so this is like your standard news feed on Facebook or Twitter, something like that. You can do 3 different types of posts by default. We have a quick post, which is more just like the normal status update. We can do something called a question, which has the option to toggle anonymity on so that no one could see who's asking the question. Of course, you can also do polls too. You could probably do anonymous polls if you turn them both on. And they work just like you'd expect the polling. You could see the options here pop up. You can add another option if you like. Or we can do a discussion, which would be a longer form thread type of conversation where you can see here we're expected to write a paragraph and we would write a topic up top. So that's kind of nice. I would actually like to see Facebook come out with a feature like that. It would maybe cut down on some of the scrolling through the comments. All right, beyond the Facebook feed-esque look to it, there are some really interesting features. You can see over here on the left that I've got my feed. That's what we're looking at. But we also have groups. You can set up groups just like you have in Facebook. Now, that's a good time to mention that that is actually an add-on. So I'm going to head over to the admin panel here, and we're going to look at what they call their apps. So in the apps, here is groups, and you can see that that is a premium feature, but it's been unlocked for Sumo Lings. There are several other apps that you can introduce, like a welcome email, social logins so that you can have people log in through Facebook or Google. We've also got Google Analytics so you can track your users and see how they're interacting. Virtual currency so we can reward people, kind of like a reward system. We can unlock, these ones are actually add-ons, right? Where it says unlock for 14 days. There's quite a few of those. Those are going to be extra fees that you'll have to pay. One of them being Facebook Messenger, which will allow your users to connect with the community via Facebook Messenger. So that kind of gets around the fact that there isn't a native mobile app here. Now we'll say that the application or the website is mobile responsive. It'll work just fine on your phone, but if someone's already in Messenger, they would be able to see comments if you unlock this tool. Yeah, there's quite a few of them. Zapier is included. Webhooks are included. Those things I know are important to a lot of people. You can increase deliverability with something like SendGrid of the transactional emails that come through the platform, notifications and things like that. So you'll want to look at the apps. Let's go through some of the settings here. You can give your community a name. You can add the page title, meta keywords, meta description. This is some of the SEO stuff. We could also set this is the white labeling right here where we can set our own logo, own favicon, and you can also add an open graph image. So if someone shares a link to your community, that image would show up if there was no other image attached on the link that they share. Let's see, we can set the access. So some of this is a little confusing. There's something that says community stage, learn more. And then we've got these rather bizarre settings like inception, establishment, maturity, mitosis. Honestly, no idea what that's all about, but I think it's trying to refer to how established the community is, whether, you're just getting started with your community. Is this a new community or are you, really, really developed? Access. So this is important. Do we want anyone to be able to join the community or is it private? Do users need to register in order to join? And is registration open to the public or do you have to be invited to be able to join? So that is important as well. You can turn on the little cookie consent like we've all seen on every website for the last 3 or 4 years. And then we have emails, whether we want to send notifications or not. Basically, you have several options here for toggling that on and off. And you can also even set limitations on who can post. So maybe you just want to have it be a place where you can post to your loyal followers, and in that case, it would look more like maybe a Patreon type of thing, where someone could pay to subscribe, and you could just unlock exclusive podcasts or videos or things. You could put it right here inside of Tribe. So if you're creative, you can find a lot of ways to use a tool like this beyond just a message board. Now, I've been using the internet for a long time. I remember when forums were literally my whole life. I would, love interacting on forums, and that's been replaced with Facebook groups. I think for a lot of us, we spend a lot of time over on Facebook groups because it's convenient. They're all in one place. It brings up the issue of having your own community that's away from where everyone else already is. In order to do that successfully, you've got to have an audience that either despises other social media platforms, and there are certainly audiences, there's groups of people out there that just want nothing to do with things like Facebook or Twitter, and that's just fine. I have no problem with people. Some days feel like that as well. But, you got to give people a reason to visit your community. So think about that when you're debating whether or not this is a good choice for you. Are you going to be able to convince people to leave Twitter or leave Facebook and come over to a platform where you're just talking about maybe, a few subjects? That's definitely something that is worth considering. All right, let's blast through some of the other settings here. We have the feed. This is basically, going to show you whether suggested groups to join, topics to follow, things like that. We have portal links, which are essentially links outside of the platform to go to your other social media platforms or your terms and conditions, privacy policy, things like that. We have some messages here, basically the copy that people will see as they're signing up, the user intro, all of that. And then you can also post announcements. These will show up at the top of the feed on the homepage so that people can see, if there's something important that you need to announce. So that is all in the settings. Quickly, we'll go through the left-hand column here. We've got members. This is where you'll be able to see everyone who's joined your tribe. We have topics. So if we go back to the feed here, I'll show you what this will look like. You can follow certain topics. Now, Facebook's been doing this. So here is an example. Maybe you want to follow all of the conversation about health and fitness or tutorials. So you can think about that in your own niche. Let's say you have a cooking community and you want to have people who follow sous vide style cooking. You could have a topic about that, and then people could be notified when posts are about that topic. So that could be a really interesting feature. Moving along, here is the section where we can add new groups. Adding a group is really easy. Just title the group, you can give it a color, a description, and you're ready to go. So it's a good time to mention that there is no way to post videos or at least upload videos to Tribe. You can, of course, link to something like a Vimeo page or a YouTube page, but you can't actually upload videos to the platform itself, although that is something they say is in the pipeline for later. All right, let's continue on here. Here are the theme settings. We can see that there's ability to change button colors. We can get into the header and the nav bar and even inject some of our own custom CSS as well as tracking codes on the back end if you wanted to inject something like a Facebook tracking pixel to retarget people who are in your community. Down below, we've got the option to change the domain name. You can map this to your own custom domain or even use a subdomain if that's what you prefer. Very easy to do here, no additional fee, just the one code unlocks it. So I like that. We've already looked at the apps, and then there is some reporting features built in where we can see, how active your community is, how many posts are going on, things like that. So overall, should you buy Tribe? Well, I guess I was kind of surprised at how nice the back end was and how useful it appeared to be, but I had kind of a different idea for how I plan to use it. I don't actually think I would use it for any business purposes, but it did seem to make a lot of sense for a growing family. So we've got a lot of small kids. I don't really want to get them on social media, but it would be nice for them to connect with their aunts and uncles and grandparents. So I'm thinking that Tribe might actually be a good way for us to connect our actual family together. That said, if you're going to use this for business purposes, there are some things to consider. Well, one is that you don't own the platform. So at any point, if Tribe folds or changes plans, changes directions, adds features, takes away features, you're really not in control of that. So in many ways, yeah, it's better than Facebook because they're not on a platform where you have to pay to get in front of your own audience, but it's not too many notches above that. However, you do get the simplicity of the user interface. It's turn it on and get going. If you're going to set up your own WordPress community, you'll have to buy an expensive theme like Buddy Boss, set it up, configure it, make sure everything's locked down so that maybe you don't get that ability to have just random strangers joining your community. So there really are a lot of things to think about. So basically, if you don't need a community, skip this altogether. If you're somewhat interested in a community but don't want any of the complexities, maybe this is for something like a hobby that you're very passionate about, you don't want to start a forum, but a Facebook group isn't very interesting to you either, then I think Tribe is really perfect for that. However, if you're starting a high-end consulting firm, or maybe you're doing some high-ticket online courses and you want to provide a community for your users, I probably would go with something that you have a little bit more stuck in, something like a Buddy Boss. That would be more of the high-end, ultra customizable solution. So just to round up, that is kind of who I think Tribe is best for. Let's move along because we've still got a lot to talk about. Here is the back end of Brizy Cloud. Now, this is a completely cloud-based software as a service web page builder. They are mainly established as a WordPress page builder. So there is a lot of confusion. In fact, I made an entire video to help you understand the difference between the AppSumo offer versus the offer on the Breezy.io website. So if you haven't seen that, go check that video out. But here we are over in the Brizy Cloud area where I can create new projects. So man, to me, this is really the ultimate landing page builder. It's what you'd expect out of something like we had Ad Page on AppSumo. It's nothing compared to Breezy. Breezy's really a full-featured service. If you were to pair this up with something like ThriveCart, you're going to have, a lifetime deal where you could host a funnel, a ClickFunnels style funnel for a one-time cost. Now, it's not going to be cheap because ThriveCart is pretty expensive, but you get a $49 code for AppSumo. You'll be able to build 3 powerful funnels for one single cost. All right, so let's get into it. Let's look at the user interface here in the back end. You have your projects up here. You could add a new client account. If you're doing paid traffic, you want to add your new client, Joe's Carpet Cleaning. And now I could switch between my clients. Here's Joe's Carpet Cleaning. I could build his project here. I could go over to my other clients right over there. And then to get into your project, you could either create a new one by clicking the plus button or just hit edit project and it'll open right up into the page builder. Now the page builder is extremely nicely designed. This is definitely a pretty mature looking product. We have light mode as well as dark mode style pages. That is a nice touch. What we're looking at right now is blocks. So let's say I wanted to have, a cover section. I could start off with this nice header area, and then I can go in and add another block right here. And then maybe I'll have some testimonials. That's probably what I have next. I could add that in right here. And then maybe I'll have, I don't know, how about a call to action? And we'll do that right there. All right, so very quickly, I've built out a pretty decent looking website. It's full of cheesy stock photos. I could click right here, start editing the copy. There is a full style editor right over here, so we could change the different paragraph styles, the different fonts that are built in. Of course, we could add additional elements on an element by element basis right up here, very much like the Elementor page builder, if you're familiar with that. So, obviously I don't have time to go through the entire Breezy backend, but you can see this is a really, really powerful landing page builder. It's not going to give you e-commerce. You can even build a full website here. There are menu elements. You can, connect pages together. That's totally doable. Here's the menu element right here. So you can definitely build out multi-page websites inside of Breezy. But if you're looking for WooCommerce and cart flows and, the whole stack, then you'd want to go with the WordPress plugin. Now, when you buy the AppSumo code, you do get a lifetime license for a WordPress installation, but that's not related to the main product here. You'd have to take that license, go over to someplace like Cloudways, which is what I'd recommend, start your own VPS on there and install Breezy as a page builder. You'd have to pay the monthly hosting over there, whereas if you're using their cloud service, the hosting is included. I'm going over that in such detail because I've seen that question over and over again, so I know it's confusing to a lot of people out there. But I think Breezy is a fantastic platform. It is not my primary page builder. However, if we were doing a lot of landing pages for paid traffic, I would probably be using Breezy for nearly every client because it's so easy to just launch a new site, a new landing page using the cloud interface. So who should pass on Breezy? Well, WordPress loyalists, people that are never going to think about going to another platform, or maybe you're already happy with something like Unbounce, and that's fine. Just stay there. There's no reason to switch platforms. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you're kind of curious, if you're tired of WordPress, you're getting frustrated with all of the updates, you could take a look over at Breezy, grab a code or two, and you'll have some hosting as well as a really good page builder for life. I don't think this is necessarily one I'd want to let get away without any sort of lifetime offer on. It does look like it's got some legs to it. Who should stack to the moon? Well, in my opinion, probably people that are doing a ton of page paid traffic, building landing pages every single day. You've got a steady pipeline of new clients, and you know that you're going to be whipping out some high converting landing pages. Breezy is definitely a good platform to do that with. All right, really quickly, we're going to talk about Endorsal again. I've already got a full tutorial and review on Endorsal. I think this is a really good, really interesting platform for collecting reviews for your business. Now, there are a few things I just wanted to mention here that I got wrong in my video, and then some other features that they've added on. So one thing that several people were nice enough to point out to me was that the fact that there is a little bit of review gating that you can do. So I missed this initially. If we go over to the submission settings here and you turn on the publish to other services, which essentially just gives people that option after they submit their testimonial, hey, would you like to send this over to something like Facebook? Well, you do have the option to hide that if the star rating is below a certain threshold. So let's say I only want 4 and 5 star reviews posted to my Facebook or my Google. Well, I could turn this on right here, and then it would, do a little bit of a gate for me. Now, it's still taking things out of order, in my opinion, where I would like to have someone say, did you like this service or not? Just one flat question. If they say they did, then say, hey, great, go leave us a Facebook review or go leave us a Google review. That's what Starfish Reviews does, and I think that is going to get people to leave reviews on the sites that matter for businesses. Having reviews on your own site doesn't matter as much as having them with Google or Facebook or Yelp or whatever platform is right for your business. So I would love to see that change happen, and the founder has indicated that he's open to exploring these ideas. So hopefully I'm kind of betting on this one, as I think someone put it in the Facebook group recently. I think this one's going to marinate nicely. I think it's going to develop really well. I like that quote. I think it was from Mario Gonzalez. So, all right, here we go. These are some new options. We've got the ability to add a custom service here. That was not in the product when I did the initial review. That's the other thing I wanted to point out. So if you're not just directing people over to Facebook or Google, you can now send them anywhere you like. You can add a name and your own custom link here. So Endorsal is ending very soon. I think that is ending, just a couple days from the recording of this video. So definitely head over and pick that one up. You do need to get, I think, 3 codes to unlock the majority of the features. And then once you get up to 5, you get things like the Wall of Love, where you get the infinite scroll of testimonials and things like that. So head over to the AppSumo page, check that one out. All of the links for these deals will be in the description below. Of course, those will be the referral links for the channel. So if this video has been helpful to you, just go ahead and click on those. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps keep the lights on here at the LTD studio. All right, I think that's about it for this video. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. What deals are you going to pick up, or which ones are you going to let pass this time? I want to know. I'll see you in the next review.